Hi guys, Aceface back with another video for Twisted Dice. I've got a short and sweet video for you today that hopefully you're going to enjoy. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Tau, the Forgotten Army in 9th edition. But if you do like this video, please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I would really be interested to hear your thoughts on Tau down in the description below, in the comments below. So yeah, I'd be really interested to hear what you think, because I know that opinions are a little bit split, but there are also some very strong opinions on what Tau are like currently. So thank you very much. And if for those of you that always watch on a Wednesday for Tyranid content, don't worry, that will keep coming. I just thought we would talk a little bit about my second favourite army, and the position that they find themselves in currently. So to put a little bit of background around the Tau, so the tail end of 9th edition, they were on the downward trajectory a little bit. Now I say that because a lot of the players that were playing Tau moved across to play Space Marines because just how powerful they were. But taking that into account, they did get their Psychic Awakening release, which really upped their power. That's when I played them again for a little bit and actually had an extreme amount of success playing some very different and dynamic Tau builds. Those builds were not considered in the tail end of the 8th edition to be the play style to play. People were still very fixed around, yes, you just play your Riptides, and the tons of drones. Now, yes, that did still work and it was effective, and there were advantages from what happened within the Psychic Awakening book to make that even effective, but I was playing a more dynamic tank build with flyers that was very, very effective tail end of 8th edition and incredibly nasty to play against. Now, 9th edition has come in, and obviously the way we play those missions changes things dramatically. We're now much more dependent on taking objectives and holding objectives over killing things. Killing things doesn't generally give you very many points in the game. There are some secondaries that do, that utilize that, but all primaries are just around taking objectives, and that's something that Tau are not particularly good at. They very much depend on taking out the opponent with a few bits of dynamic movement to take a few key objectives, but on the whole, they're not looking to get really far forward across the board. They're looking to really delete the opponent. Now, that's one of the frustrations that your opponents have against Tau, but also what you need to do to be successful. So that obviously has meant that the community as a whole put Tau in a pretty difficult and awkward position. Now, I think they're right. They are right. Yes, Tau can't necessarily perform in the same way that they did before, and you can't depend on drones because of different things that happen to drones without going into details. But if you play more dynamic Tau, I think there is still some success to be had, because your killing output is still very good, and you can still fit, even with the points changes, what you need to really put a massive hit on your opponent. Yes, you don't have that strength to really hold objectives, but you do have the killing power to really put some hurt on those units that are taking objectives in the middle. And if you take tanks, with the advantages and the bonuses they now have in 9th edition, they can be even more dynamic because they're at less risk of being tagged. They have more of the advantage to continue to shoot in combat, and they can move around without that kind of like penalty. So that really helps them out a lot. Yes, they did all have fly, and fly is not the same as it used to be, but they're still good. They're still good. And flyers now being able to move out of the combat space and return also helps our bombers and likewise, and that type of unit. So there still is some advantages there. Obviously, Fire Warriors, they're not the strongest of holding objectives. The same with Kroot, and that causes us some problems. But, we've got units like Stealth Suits that can, advance, deploy, which helps out loads of taking some of those objectives. They're not the easiest units to kill. So Tau definitely have some tools to be able to do okay. I think a good player with a dynamic list can still do okay with Tau. Yes, they don't have the tools like Tyranids or so many of the other armies that they can have dynamic builds and really kind of utilize, you know, taking different secondaries and being very effective there. They just don't have that. They are a little bit one-dimensional currently, and hopefully in the future that will get looked at. So what I want to do is actually talk about that. So what do they really need? Well, they do have a lot of cool models, they do have a lot of cool units, but what they're probably missing is they're missing some resiliency. Units that are much more around holding an objective, that they don't necessarily need to be incredibly powerful in combat, but they need to be able to be resilient in combat. You know, much more a defensive suit. We need suits that can kind of go in there and be staunch. So kind of like a suit with a kind of almost like a shield, that type of thing. Units that can do that holding role much more effective, that aren't necessarily all about damage output and no defense. That's the sort of units that Tau really need. They still always lack that psychic defense as well, which hurts them, but they definitely need something they can utilize, because just going on that you know, that Overwatch is not enough. Yes, we can utilize it better than other armies, but still it's just not enough, because that kind of castling for Overwatch, you know, that style of play just doesn't work in 9th edition. So yes, Tau are in a difficult place, but I think with some dynamic tweaks to the way they play in their new codex, and as well as players starting to think about them a little bit differently, you're going to have to take away that kind of comfort blanket of a sea of drones and start to think about how differently you can play the army. And I definitely feel that there is some success to be had there, and I definitely feel that they won't stay at what is perceived to be the bottom of the meta forever. So, you know, if you're a Tau player, I'm a Tau player, I'm actually looking forward to, when we get out of lockdown, to getting these guys on the table, and I will definitely show that in some battle reports. I think I can still give people a bit of a kick in with the Tau, and I think you can too. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. It's much more of a discussion video, and I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and until the next one, I'm Aceface, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.